Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Oscar Buzz. Hope you all are doing well. Trevor here, joined as always by Thomas. And today we're talking about Netflix.
We are.
So Netflix, always a big contender in award season. And over the past week, they released their FYC page. This is where they're, what they're campaigning, where they're campaigning it. And it's interesting because they put out where they were campaigning everything, and then over the past couple days, they redacted that. And now we don't have category placements for everything. So what's really interesting is that initially, the big bombshell was Glass Onion being campaigned in the
Yeah.
original screen.
Mm.
Now, could that just be a mistake? Yes. But if they're serious.
Yeah.
The other big thing was most FIC pages, they'll put like the big things that they really want to focus on at the top of the page. The four things for Netflix were Glass Onion, White Noise, Pinocchio, and Blonde.
Yeah.
So no, like all quiet.
No, quite. No
No
Bardo
Bardo.
as well. Yeah.
So I don't like. We can decide how much we want to read into these things.
Yeah, I don't know if we read too much into the idea of what they're going to be campaigning on top of each other, because with award season, it's always what starts to build momentum. Okay, that's what the studios sort of jump onto. That's
Right.
usually where it goes. They usually right about now start to try and pinpoint things to campaign. But at the end of the day, what builds momentum is the stuff that builds momentum. Therefore, the studios will not look at All Quiet on the Western Front building momentum and maybe getting awards and then go, oh no, we don't want to campaign that still. Like,
It is.
if they see All Quiet on the Western Front doing stuff and starting to pick up these noms, they will go along with that, I'm sure.
It is very interesting though, because I do think that Glass Onion is still their top priority as of now. Like they put it at
Probably.
the top of their page. They also did just announce because it was going to be in theaters and then it wasn't, but they did just announce at all major theater chains, at least in America, it's going to be in theaters for a week over Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So they
Which
did
is good,
just
and which will please Oscar voters as well. No doubt.
right. So they're giving it a theatrical run a full month before it comes out on Netflix. So it seems like they're putting together so much promotional stuff around this. Like this really does seem like their top priority. It was also their most well-received movie. So I think it might be their top thing as of now. I honestly do. The big question is All Quiet on the Western Front. What do they do?
Yes. Yeah. Because as we mentioned before, like it's probably going to pick up international feature. It might well win. It's close between that and Tinge Leave, but I've currently got a winning international feature, and then it's also could pick up text, and it's just whether those sorts of things propel it into best picture. Because as we've mentioned a lot of times before, Netflix usually get two in.
Right.
This year we thought with things like Bardo dropping completely, basically, we thought, okay, this is not happening. We're like trying to find one at least. Now they could still get two. They could still get one, and it may either just be it may be Glass Onion or it may be All Quiet. But equally, they could. There is a world in which they could both get in.
I agree. I definitely think that there is a world where both Glass Onion and All Quiet get in. Well, we'll see. Because, like, I mean, also Pinocchio. I could see them campaigning there really hard. Like, I honestly do.
I just don't know if that gets picture though. I don't know if that's picture.
But I think that could be looking at multiple nominations. I think it could get animated. I
Could
think
pick up a couple
more.
stuff.
I think VFX is possible. Also, there is going to be an original song. Always something to keep in mind, especially because that would be a double nomination for the spot. White Noise. I mean, that could be a screenplay thing. That Driver, I think, could get in at the Globes. We're looking
that
at
could also be a song as well.
Yep, that could also be a song nomination, and I've heard it's one of the most memorable uses of a song this year. So, like, these things make sense. I don't know why Blonde is up there.
I don't know. That's not
unless
happening.
they really want to go for Anna de Armas. Like,
maybe. I mean, I guess she is the only lead Netflix actress, so like.
Honestly, my guess is that they dropped the FIC page the week that Blonde came out, and I feel like they just wanted to give it a bit of a push.
Potentially, because like Blonde is just not going to happen really anywhere. Maybe it's something the cinematography branch goes for because they do sometimes go for weird stuff. Equally, that feels unlikely at this point, given the backlash to everything they were doing with the cinematography. So, like, I just don't think it gets any noms. Blonde. I think it is pretty much dead. But like it might be interesting to see Netflix campaign it still, nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, because like I don't know. Let's work through the categories briefly with Netflix. So picture Glass Onion and All Quiet feel like they're two contenders.
They're the top two. Yeah. And I would probably put Pinocchio number 3 just based off of how
Like
weak the
Bardo and
rest
White
of the
Noise,
field
I
is.
feel like they
They're
should be
not
stronger,
picture
but they just
things. No.
I think that it's more likely in my mind that Pinocchio gets picture than White Noise or Bardo.
I would agree. I definitely don't
think
think
more.
Bardo. I would put Bardo slightly above White Noise,
Yeah.
just because
Just
it
who
could get
knows?
international feature, and
Yeah.
that could just be enough for it to. If it's like,
Yeah,
if it gets
cinematography.
cinematography as well, yeah.
We'd be
And so
looking at
I
another
would
round.
say Bardo is higher than White Noise, and Blonde is obviously weaker than all of them.
Right. I mean, the other thing with Pinocchio is that, like, I mean, the last time animated movies were getting in was when we had a set lineup of 10. That was when Up got in. That was when Wall-E got in. That was Toy Story 3, right? And then it was when we lost the set lineup of 10 that we've then had the drought for animated movies. But now we're back to a set lineup of 10. Maybe Pinocchio. Like, who knows?
Potentially.
Director,
Although
I
that
don't
didn't
think we
happen
have.
last year with Flea, but
Well,
anyway.
yeah, but director, like Edward Berger, I guess, for All Quiet, and I
That's
guess Inarritu
probably
is really crazy,
because
but
he
like
could slip
I just
in.
don't think they have any directing contenders.
No, not really. But unless All Quiet on the Western Front does pick up enough text, if it picks up enough text, maybe it is that sort of weird director pick that they sometimes go for.
Yeah, I mean it's international as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Like possible. It's possible. Actor, nothing.
No, I mean Driver's a top contender, but that's
Driver,
a weak
I guess.
contender.
Right.
Yeah,
And then
same with
actress,
lead actress as well, actually.
that's
Yeah,
Anna.
yeah.
I mean, and obviously like Daniel Craig will be a Globe thing for actor, but like
Yeah, that's
no.
just not happening. It's not getting close.
Right. So then you have like your supporting contenders. There's Janelle Monáe. There's also Eddie Redmayne in The Good Nurse.
Yeah.
Which
There's
we
also
should bring
Daniel
up.
Bruhl as well. All
There is
quiet.
Daniel Bruhl for All Quiet. But again, like it just doesn't feel like Netflix has any acting contenders this year.
Don Cheadle as well. White Noise, let's not forget.
Yeah, for White Noise. Yeah, I mean Greta is going to be supporting, but like
Yeah, I have heard less positive things about her performance, though. So
I've actually heard very positive things about the performance, so maybe more of a
okay,
mixed reception.
yeah,
So yeah, then we look at screenplay. Glass Onion, I think, should happen, but let's talk about this FYC thing because is it original or is it adapted? According to the rules, this is an adapted screenplay. It features a character taken from another piece of media. But if Netflix is actually campaigning it an original, which like now they've taken down that part of the page, so I don't know if it was a mistake, but like I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know.
I'm
I don't think it
hoping
would
it was a
matter.
mistake
I also don't think
because
it matters. Like if we're gonna follow the rules, like it's Moonlight, right? Like
yeah. Well, it does though if it's being campaigned in original and people start voting for it in original, and then
Moonlight
it's
was
just not
nominated at
allowed.
every precursor as an original
Yeah,
screenplay, but then they gave it adapted at the Oscars because that's how the rules work. So I honestly think this stays at adapted no matter what. In which case,
it could. Yeah, I mean,
So
yeah, adapted is very weak. Problem
yeah,
is, if it is an original, and if it, like, hypothetically, and then it's a weaker field, no, it's a harder field, sorry, and then it misses there, surely it's not picture. Like,
then that crumbles its
they
picture
would have,
chances, which is why I think it
exactly,
would be a
that's the
mistake
problem.
for them to go against the rules and try to put it in original. Like it
Yeah,
feels like a mistake. It would be a campaigning mistake. It feels like a mistake on their website. I feel like
mm,
it has to be an adapted screen. Like it has to be.
yeah,
So I think we're looking at that, and that keeps its picture chances alive. Anything
should
else?
do.
All Quiet does not feel like
No,
a
I
screen.
know that does, no.
Bardo doesn't really feel like a screenplay thing.
No, that
Um,
feels like the furthest thing from screenplay that you
ooh,
can get, really.
like Pinocchio,
You
it's
brought this up
adapted.
before,
We'll see. We'll see if that's a random
yeah,
adapted thing. The one thing that I
yeah.
do think could be a lone adapted a lone screenplay nom for Netflix is White Noise.
Yeah,
I think
and
it
I
makes a
would
lot of sense to bring it back. So
yeah, like again, there were slightly questionable things about the screenplay for it. However,
right,
that was at the beginning of its sort of run, whereas at Venice, it sort of picked up a bit. People seem to be watching
yeah,
it and liking it more now.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
like maybe it could. Like, I probably currently have it in for a lone screenplay nom just because it feels like that sort of
Agreed.
film. And it's bound back as well. They like bound back. But yeah, there's a lot of potential there for it to get into adapted because it's a weak field. So
Completely agree. Completely agree. And then if we look at Tex, All Quiet on the Western Front could be all over the place for Tex, right?
yeah,
I mean, cinematography, editing, production design, costumes, sound, like it's a war movie, right?
Yeah.
Then you're looking at like Blonde could be a random cinematography or makeup thing.
I think that's it
Those
though,
branches
really.
both go
And
for
even,
weird stuff.
yeah, but even like the cinematography, there has been like no one really likes what they're doing. That a lot of people are just saying it's pretty, but they don't like a lot of the certain choices made in cinematography wise. So I don't know. I think it'll be hard to get in there. It could randomly show up in
I
there.
think again, at least in ASC, ASC nom, I think could happen.
Maybe.
Glass Onion, editing and production design, I think are possible, and I'm debating putting it into production design. It's just we know how the Oscars are with anything contemporary when it comes to production design or costuming.
Yeah.
Or even makeup and hair for that matter. But like, I think it could make. I know. I think Glass Onion could have a decent Guilds run. When it comes to like
Maybe
the
there are a lot of stuff though in production design. Like
yeah.
it's not like it's a limited field. So I don't know. Editing could just happen because editing is sort of a category where if you're in a picture, if you're in best picture conversation, you might just randomly show up. So like maybe there's potential there for that.
Yep, agreed. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. I think we could be looking at, as I mentioned before, score, song, VFX. I think all those things are possible. I mean, it's not like VFX is like a crazy thing for a stop motion movie to get. It happened literally 5 years ago with Kubo and the Two Strings. So like, this is a very possible thing to happen. I'm predicting it right now. I think it'll happen. So yeah, I think that's there. I mean, if you want to go really crazy, there's things like costumes that you could say, but I don't think that's gonna.
I think that's bold. That is bold.
Yeah, that's a little bit bold. Okay, here's one thing that I'll bring up, Thomas. Roald Dahl's Matilda the musical. Okay, Emma Thompson is in a ridiculous amount of makeup.
I know. We've seen the images.
Madame
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that this could be a makeup nom. Especially if I could see Emma Thompson maybe showing up at the Globes for like comedy musical.
If it makes the shortlist, there's a lot of potential there.
Yep. Makeup's so weak and weird this year. I 100%. I mean, and it premiered at LFF, and people liked it a lot. So it got pretty good reviews out of LFF. Like it's like a 67 on Metacritic, which is about as much as you would want out of that type of thing. I've heard some people. It's at a 100 on Rotten Tomatoes, which is the bigger thing. So like even if people like generally are like 6 or 7 out of 10. Right, everybody's enjoying the movie. Nobody's disliking the film. So I think it could happen. And we do know now that there are no extra original songs added to it. But this is like definitely BAFTA, like best British film, of course. And then also Emma Thompson, like
potentially. There's potential there for a couple. She could show up here and there. Yeah. No, I agree. There is potential there for Matilda.
But makeup, absolutely. Keep that in the back of your mind. Everybody.
Yeah.
Then you have things like The Swimmer. Like there's other things like The Good Nurse Won't Be a Text Thing, A Jasmine's Blues, The Swimmers, like Hustle.
Hustle is not going to be anywhere near text.
Yeah.
Thank God.
White Noise and The Wonder both just don't feel like things.
No, I mean we mentioned original song for White Noise potentially.
Yeah. So okay. Let's look at documentary. What do they have? Well, they have Descendant.
That is surely their number one contender right now, you'd imagine.
Or Senior, which is the documentary that Robert Downey Jr. made with his dad, Robert Downey Sr., in the last couple months before Robert Downey Sr. died. This premiered at Telluride. People love it. Netflix just spent a ridiculous amount of money for a documentary on this. So Netflix might be pushing for 2.
They could be pushing for 2. I still think Descendant would be the more higher priority thing. I think it would get. It's more likely to get a documentary nom, but yeah, they could still push for 2, and they could still get 2 because they're Netflix.
Right, and both Descendant and Senior were both really well received. There's a couple other things still in her hands, but I've just heard no buzz about them. So we'll see if they show up at like CCPA, the Critics' Choice Doc Awards nominations in a week or so. But on the animation front, they have a lot.
This is
so they have Apollo 10.5. But Apollo 10.5 was just rejected.
It was. And either way, I don't think it really mattered because even though it was a great film.
But it's so stupid.
It's a great film. It is animated. But equally, whatever happened, it was not going to get in anyway. Because now
are you going to allow Marcel to tell with shoes on, but not Apollo 10? Like, what? Like what? I mean,
Yeah.
and I love
Yeah.
both of those movies. They might be my two favorite animated films of the year. But like,
No, I mean it just is animation. Like I don't know
it
how it's not.
objectively,
What
like,
is it? If it's
you
not
know what?
animation,
You're
what
saying
is it?
Morbius was rotoscoped. Are you gonna say that's not animated? Like what?
Yeah, I
Like,
don't know. I don't know.
it's so stupid. Anyways, it doesn't matter anyways because it was never gonna happen, but it should have happened because it's a great movie.
Yeah.
Elsewhere they have Drifting Home. It's an anime thing. They don't do those
Mm,
unless it's
no.
Miyazaki or Osada. So then we get to the
And
actual
you've got free. Yeah.
things. Right. So you have My Father's Dragon, co-production with Cartoon Saloon. This premiered at LFF. People really liked this movie.
Yeah.
Like it got
I know.
rave
Yeah.
reviews. I think it still gets in over Wendell and Wild, which got mixed reviews. I think that
I
My
think
Father's Dragon is the number 2. Cartoon Saloon's never missed. I think it's gonna happen.
I think Netflix will prioritize Wendell and Wild more than Cartoon Saloon. It's just if it can get in off its own merit. And I said this all season, like if My Father's Dragon is very, very, very well received, I think it gets in off merit. I still think with the amount of talent behind Wendell and Wild, it would be hard
Right.
for Netflix to just ignore and sort of brush off to the side. Like there's a lot of
I
people
agree.
behind Wendell and Wild.
But like I don't know. I don't know why they would have made a partnership with Cartoon Saloon though, if they weren't going to actually do anything with it. Like I
Well,
have My Father's Dragon in, and I think it's Netflix's number 2 priority.
I'd be tempted to have them both in and Netflix just gets free.
Really,
Yeah.
really. So you think
Yeah.
that Disney's wait? So you
So Turning Red, Strange World, the free Netflix ones with Marcel dropping out.
and the bad guys missing
Well, yeah. I
as
mean,
well as
we
Seymour.
always maybe overlooking the bad guys. It's an interesting one in that case, but
Right,
yeah, I'd
right.
be tempted to do that. Free Netflix, Pixar, Disney.
Do you think Netflix is gonna get more animated numbers than Disney? I don't know. I even feel
Um,
uncomfortable with
yeah,
Netflix getting 2. Like that never happens for somebody to beat Disney and not like that's literally never happened.
but
Like
Netflix has three major contenders. Like,
right, I just don't think one like Wendell and Wild wasn't that well received. Like I just don't think it will happen. I just like I don't know how I don't know. I like Cartoon Saloon's never missed. I don't know why I should start doubting them, especially when their movie was like incredibly well received. Like
yeah, no, I'm more and more confident about My Father's Dragon. It's just I'm still.
you're
It's
taking
like
Wendell and Wild
my
over Marcel.
confidence. Yeah, my confidence in My Father's Dragon hasn't limited my confidence in Wendell and Wild. Put it that way.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. They also have the Sea Beast, which could be a random Annie's thing. People enjoyed it. It feels more likely than like Paulton and a half. But like
Yeah, well,
um yeah. Linklater is
yeah,
appealing it, as he should.
yeah. I mean,
Um
because at this point, Minions Rise of Gru is more possible than Apollo 10 and a half, which is a very sad reality we live in. But oh well,
yeah.
it's what it is.
Honestly, I think it was always more popular, but whatever.
Well, yeah, actually,
On
oh, that is
internet,
sad.
yeah.
Yeah,
On the international
depressing.
front, Athena wasn't submitted, sadly.
No,
So that won't be a thing. So we're looking at Bardo and All Quiet.
yeah, which are two very possible noms. I think All Quiet. I
All
said
Quiet's a
before,
lock,
I've
I
got
would
it
say.
winning. Yeah, like yeah, it's a lock definitely, and I've got it winning. Bardo, it's just if Inarritu's name carries enough weight and the cut
Yeah.
is a enough cut this time.
Yeah,
We'll
there's
see.
enough cut to the cut. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
because yeah, we'll see. We'll see. That one's honestly just a we'll see on Bardo because, like,
Yeah.
as we said, that could be cinematography. We kind of neglected to
Yeah.
talk about that, but like that could be cinematography. That could be
It
production
could
design.
even be production done. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, that could be sound. That could
Potentially.
be like costumes. Like this could be a lot of things. It just depends on how much people are actually going to go for it.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
we'll see. But any final thoughts on Netflix's lineup?
Well, I mean, it started off. There was one point in time where we were really worried about Netflix not having any contenders. Now they've got two possible picture contenders. Plus, like Netflix has managed to orchestrate their slate so it's a lot better this year. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do. There's definitely a couple of places to look out for. Animated, 100% is definitely one, and picture, as well as where Glass Onion does go. Those are the three probably major takeaways.
Yep, absolutely. But thank you everybody so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Tell us what you think is
Yeah,
Netflix's top
yeah,
contenders in the
engagement.
comments. Rake in that engagement. Give it to us.
Yeah.
But you can subscribe if you want for more awards talk, festival talk, movie reviews, etc. So until next time, thank you everybody for watching. Stay safe and goodbye.